Shalom, and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles.
This is a recording of a Passover sermon with Rabbi Rebecca Schatz.
So as a way of waking everyone up for just a few minutes, I want to do some group participation. Are you ready? Do you hate me yet? No. Okay, great. How many of you last night equated the experience in Iran to any aspect of the Haggadah? Did Iran come up at all? Okay, fewer than I thought. How many of you heard a conversation or asked a question about modern-day anti-Semitism and equated that to slavery in Egypt? Okay, a few more. How many of you heard someone ask, when are we going to eat? No one? Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, I saw. Thank you. And lastly, how many of you had a younger person than you request a song or ask a question or recall an earlier Passover custom that surprised you or made you proud to be passing on that tradition? Fabulous. How many of you never put your hand up once? Oh, all right. Well, okay. Passover is our tradition's best version of curriculum and practice. The Seder is pedagogically modeled with props, intriguing story, kinesthetic and sensory application, as well as student-centered questioning and therefore learning. So in preparation for the rest of Pesach and really the rest of the year, I want to use one piece of this traditional curriculum to frame how you can take some of these modern-day conversations and worries and wonderings and bring them into focus. There are 4 children. We meet them in our Magid section, and often they are referred to as the 4 sons, which is fine, though I would argue it's inaccurate. The 4 children are just that. They're 4 people who have learned from others before them and whose task it is to teach those who come after them. No matter the gender, they come from someone and will hopefully pass on wisdom to others. These 4 children receive the titles of Chacham, Rasha, Tam, V'she'eno Yodea Lish'ol. What is categorically interesting about these titles is that they do not seem to illustrate the child, but rather the parent or the teacher giving the responses. In Mishnah Psachim, chapter 10, Mishnah 4, we read, Ulefi da'ato shel ben aviv melamdo. And according to the child's intelligence, the parent teaches them. Now, this piece of Mishnah is specifically in reference to the 4 questions, but again, this entire curriculum of the Seder is to allow for and to inspire and to expect questioning with answers that share story and narrative. Therefore, this Mishnah is also directly related to how we are to approach these 4 children and any learners at our Seder table. According to their intelligence, we give them whatever they can handle and whatever would interest them. Since October 7th, the primary concern that I hear from parents and from teachers is that they no longer know how to speak or teach about Israel. Obviously, Israel was not altogether an easy topic before October 7th, but the polarizing politics around aspects of this particular moment in our history has baffled many who are trying to inspire and encourage questioning. What can I say? How will my love of Israel bring people in or push people away? Is the bima or the classroom a safe space to share the beauties and challenges of Israel's history and current climate? A few weeks ago, I was in Florida attending a conference with a curated group of rabbis from all denominations and all areas of North America as we grapple with today's Israel education and advocacy. This conference came out of a rabbinic fellowship I was part of while attending Ziegler called the Lafel Fellowship. A major highlight of that fellowship was our cohort trip to Israel, staffed by a rabbi from each denomination, and traveling to hear some of the biggest leaders in the Israeli, Arab, and Palestinian communities. As one of the scholars on my Lafel trip shared, our relationship to Israel is like that of a parent and child. We will hopefully always love unconditionally, but we will not always like. And from that point forward, I have tried to share my love and dedication of our homeland as it is most important to our future as a thriving people and for the future of Israel as a place of peace and prosperity. However, in order to grow through love, like a parent or teacher to their learner, one must be open to questions and encourage inquisitive answer-seeking. This conference had speakers from all American political persuasions, from Palestinian and Israeli leadership, and from Reform to Orthodox leaders and teachers. One of our keynote speakers was truly inspiring. A Palestinian man who was born in Saudi Arabia, spent formative years in Gaza, and is an American citizen. In his short 30 years, he has created some of the most meaningful pathways for peace between Palestinians and Israelis, especially focusing on Gaza. More than 30 members of his family were killed during the most recent Israel-Gaza war, and yet he showed up to a conference titled Zionism, A New Conversation. And his final blessing to a room of rabbis was, "Stop being so frightened to be proud of your Judaism. It's pathetic." Through many expletives that I will leave out on the bima, he was passionate about this group of people knowing that if he, a Palestinian man whose family members have been victim to airstrikes, can stand up for Israel and Israelis and the good they are doing for the country and world, we should definitely be able to do that. If we cannot regard Ahmed Foud al-Khatib as a modern-day Nachshon and bring his words into our world and our seders, I'm not sure we are truly using the Haggadah as a curriculum. I, for one, left this lecture with many, many questions. The 4 children on Passover give us a model for how to approach Israel as the student and the teacher or parent. The child, who is titled Chacham or wise, asks about the how-tos of Passover, the laws and the statutes. The one teaching responds with the laws and how one should act and practice during the holiday. The child who is labeled Tam, simple, naive, or pure, if we're going to choose the translations that are also associated with Noach, asks a brilliantly philosophical question of, what is this? The answer is an opening to the story of our redemption. Just as the question can be an opening to the evening of curiosity and wonder. The 4th child is given the name of unknowing how to ask. And the Haggadah tells us, At petachlo, you should open for him. Now, first of all, the you, at, is feminine, which I find fascinating and wonderful. And second of all, what is being opened for the learner? Interestingly, the response is the same for this child as it is for the Rasha. From Exodus 13:8, Ba'avor ze asa Adonai li b'tzeiti miMitzrayim. It is because of what Adonai did for me when I went free from Egypt. The Rasha child asks the toughest question. And though the rabbis believe this to be antagonistic or probing, I believe the question of Maha avodah hazot lachem, what is this religious or spiritual work to you all? To be beautiful and inspired. This is a learner who wants to dig deeper because the surface level is not giving them enough. Not because they're trying to be defiant, but because the general landscape that has been explained to them up until this point is not enough. The response from the parent is what categorizes this as Rasha, not the child or their question. The response is seemingly unfair and dismissive because of the teacher's own concern with how to answer the question for them or for the child. At a Seder table, we wonder who we are this year in terms of the categories of child as well as the teacher. And I believe we should all do a better job of thinking of these 4 children when we engage in modern-day conversations as well. How often do we come into a conversation with someone of a certain generation or a political persuasion and assume we know what they will ask or tell us about Israel? How often are we able to listen and not title those people before hearing them out? Who of us is able to walk into an organization or a conference or a synagogue, etc., and not assume that we know their agenda? We label people and places all the time as wise, wicked, naive, or unable to ask. And often it's not fair to do so. I hope with this moment of Pesach on our lips that we are each able to open our ears to something we did not expect to hear, to learn something from someone who we did not expect could teach us. And following Pesach, that we walk into rooms where we enter with worry of discomfort, but we leave soothed by the camaraderie of others. I hope we are each able to drop the titles and just listen to the questions and recognize that often our assumptions or our answers are what categorize another person to us as wise or wicked, naive or unable to ask. That's on us. We should create space at our Seder tables and in our communities and conversations to listen and not to judge, to learn and not always to teach, to inform through love and wonder, and to learn from our curriculum of the Seder, to always make space for questions to be asked, even if they take time to form. Chag Sameach.
You've been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast website or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information on Temple Beth Am, Los Angeles, please visit www.tbala.org.